Hello, Dr. Childress here. Welcome. This is my foundation series where I'm applying the information sets from three different domains of professional psychology: family systems therapy, personality disorder pathology, and the attachment system to the pathology of a child rejecting a parent surrounding divorce. Now, I've described the family systems constructs of emotional cutoff and cross-generational coalition, the triangles. We've explored boundary violations regarding the cross-generational coalition, the perverse triangle, and the disturbing clinical psychology implications of that. In this particular video segment, I want to begin to step back a little bit and describe the family process that's taking place. So families go through various transitions over the course of their developmental lifespan. And if the family cannot manage a transition because of problematic differentiation or boundaries or various aspects of dysfunctional families, if they cannot make that developmental transition, then symptoms emerge to stabilize the family and the dysfunctional family. And the stabilization of those is called a homeostatic balance. The family tries to maintain this balance or equilibrium through these transitions. Now, the first transition that the family must go through is the formation of the marital unit. So the husband and wife getting together and getting married. That's the early seed of the family, but it is at this point still a proto-family. It hasn't reached a family yet, because if they wind up getting divorced, they go back to being individuals. There is no family. Whereas with the birth of the child, that first transition, the marriage must then expand to include the child, so the husband and wife must now become mother and father and navigate their role relationships with that and the new child. And now, if the parents divorce, there is still a family because there's still a child that unites the family. So divorce ends the marriage. It does not end the family. Once there's a child, there will always be a family, a dysfunctional family or a functional family, but there will be a family the moment there's a child. And then the family has to go through additional transitions over time as the child matures from toddlerhood into school age, and we have homework and sleepovers and all the soccer practices and everything around middle childhood. And then the child moves into adolescence, and we have all the independence and the emerging adultish kinds of stuff out of the adolescence, and then we move into the launching of the child into independent young adulthood. So all of these family transitions place stresses on the family that they must adapt to. Perhaps one of the most significant family transitions is the transition from a prior intact family structure that was united by the marriage to a new separated family structure that's now united by the child and by the child's shared bonds of affection with both parents. And you can see in that depiction of the family transition how in the intact family structure the child's able to just sort of swim in the family unit and be a child, whereas when we move to a separated family structure, that child's role is now to hold the family together, and that can be a stressful position for the child. And you can see how vulnerable that child is in the center of that V, where the child loves both parents, because the parents are separating. They're dividing the spousal relationship. So the separation pressure within the spousal relationship is pulling the child apart in their unifying function within the family. So with all divorce, what we want to do is keep parental anger low, keep the separation energies within the spousal unit contained and minimal, so that the child can more fully and healthily perform their function of loving both parents and being loved by both parents and maintaining the family. The difficulty in these families, a child rejecting a parent, is that the anger and conflict in the spousal unit has ripped the child apart, essentially, and has diverted the family's transition. Instead of into a healthy separated family structure, the family is now transitioning into a pathological cutoff family structure. And so that cutoff family structure is coming out of the work of Murray Bowen. And so the family in this case is rejecting one of the parents, one of the spouses, as a method of navigating the divorce. Now, that's not a divorce transition, the separation of a parent, the cut-off family structure. That's the structure for the death of a parent. So essentially, the family is becoming a pathological dead parent family rather than a divorced family. And that has to do with the narcissistic and borderline pathology of the allied parent, and the splitting pathology, that the splitting cannot maintain ambivalence. So that parent is moving, instead of divorce and maintaining an ambivalent new relationship, that's an ex-husband or an ex-wife, but a current mother and a current father. The splitting pathology separates that out, so the ex-husband must become an ex-father and the ex-wife must become an ex-mother. And that's the nature of the splitting pathology. And so in this family, it's being diverted down into that unhealthy cutoff family structure. Now, it is never healthy. It's never okay to leave a child in a cutoff family structure. That's always pathological. That will always be damaging to the child. So the child's best interests, I know there's concern in the forensic psychology domain regarding the child's best interests. The child's best interests are always for the family to make a successful transition to a healthy, separated family structure. There are 4 types of parent-child relationship: mother-son, mother-daughter, father-son, father-daughter. And each one of those relationships is unique. Each one is incredibly valuable for the healthy development of the child. And none of those relationships are expendable. So a cutoff family relationship where a son loses the father-son bond, or the daughter loses the father-son bond, or the son, the mother-son, whatever relationship is cut off is immensely damaging psychologically to the child. The mother-son, mother-daughter, father-son, father-daughter bonds are immensely valuable to the healthy development of the child. In addition, the healthy development of the child is dependent upon receiving parental love. Children flourish when they receive parental love, and they suffer and are damaged by the absence of parental love. So here we have a situation where there's a cut-off relationship between a child and a parent, where that child is not receiving their father's love or their mother's love. That's going to be very damaging to the child, and we have to restore that relationship in the child's best interest and for the child's healthy development. So essentially what we need to be doing with this family is helping this family transition to a healthy and functional separated family structure that's now united by the child and by the child's shared bonds of affection with both parents. The issue that the family is having is that the narcissistic borderline parent is unable to process sadness and the sadness and loss surrounding the marriage and the divorce. And instead that sadness is getting twisted into angry. And that has to do with the narcissistic borderline pathology, but also as we move into the attachment system, we'll understand that inability to process sadness. So within the attachment system literature, what we will be looking at is the idea that this pathology is called pathological mourning. It's the inability to process sadness, and in this case surrounding the marital separation. And because the narcissistic borderline parent cannot process sadness, and then as we move up into the personality disorder literature, we'll get further explanation of why the narcissistic and borderline cannot process sadness.